Hey guys, Tony here. The New Orleans Saints are going to be your NFC champions. They are going to be the champions of Super Bowl 52. The New Orleans Saints, ladies and gents, the Panthers have zero chance of winning today's game against the New Orleans Saints. This year is about the grand Jesuit ritual on the 35th day of the year. It is all bound to happen. The Panthers have zero chance of beating the Saints. Nada. Zero. Get the brooms out. So that leaves us with Saints against the Vikings. No home team is ever going to make it to the Super Bowl. It boils down to this very key reason. To help pay for hosting the game, you have to have people from out of state come into the region and bring in money. The people in Minnesota, they're already living in Minnesota, so that money that they spend on Super Bowl festivities, it would have gone somewhere else. Maybe at some other local event. Maybe it would have gone to their local movie theater, but that's money that's already in the region. And you have to bring in a larger sales tax base over to Minnesota, which is why the NFL wants to have two teams from out of the region play in the Super Bowl so they can help the host pay for the game. They would lose money if only one out of the two teams came from out of the region. That's not good for business and for the city that's hosting the game. Countless times we have seen all of these strange collapses come out of nowhere for the team hosting the Super Bowl. It was 2008. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a really fast start under John Gruden. You know what happened after that? Tampa Bay collapsed. John Gruden got fired. And we saw no Tampa Bay in the playoffs. Then 2009 comes our way. Miami Dolphins. They play very terribly. They fired Tony Sparano. Then 2010. The New York Giants started 0-6. Now, let's see. 2010, that was... So, 2011 Super Bowl, yes. That is the Super Bowl at Indianapolis. Mysteriously, Peyton Manning suffers his broken neck. And the same year that Indianapolis was hosting the Super Bowl, somehow Peyton Manning couldn't play. The one year the Colts hosted the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning is suddenly out for the whole year. This is not coincidental. And then the following year, New Orleans hosts the Super Bowl. What happened in that year that New Orleans was hosting the Super Bowl? The NFL carried out their bounty gate penalties on the Saints the same year that they were hosting the Super Bowl. So this is how they completely script it. The home team is not supposed to play in the Super Bowl. You're supposed to have your really crappy year when you're hosting the game. So that's what happens for these home teams that think they're going to win the Super Bowl. It just ain't going to happen that way. Then we have the New York Super Bowl. The New York Jets in two consecutive AFC title games. New York hosts a game in 2014 it is. 2013, 2014. The New York Giants start 0-6. Really crappy. The Jets, after reaching two straight AFC title games, they collapse. It happens to not one but two teams that year. Okay, so that was Super Bowl 48. And then Super Bowl 49, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Started 9-1, started really quickly, and then Carson Palmer, he suffers his broken ankle, but he was hit near the top of his body. Palmer suffers this weird non-contact injury out of nowhere, and then the running back gets hurt, and then, the backup quarterback gets hurt since they're starting to win, and then they were left with Ryan Lindley in the playoffs. And then, we have Super Bowl 50. The San Francisco 49ers were just crap to begin with. They were garbage anyways. Super Bowl 51, Houston Texans. Houston doesn't make the playoffs. They were really reeling. Then this year brings us to the Minnesota Vikings. This is going to boil down to what if, what if Sam Bradford played? Because Sam Bradford was the one who beat the Saints in week 1. But they obviously faked this injury, or Sam Bradford was just made out of glass once again. They have this kid, Case Keenum. The Minnesota Vikings have a really strong year, but they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. The league is not supposed to have their chances of a home team making the Super Bowl jeopardize the whole city's chances to pay for the game. This is why they can't have the Minnesota Vikings in the Super Bowl. This is why the Minnesota Vikings have zero chance when they play the New Orleans Saints next week. And all of these Panthers predictions, they're not going to make it. I told you guys, there was going to be no Patriots. There was going to be no Cowboys. There was going to be no Giants. There was going to be no Packers, right? We all know the Falcons were not going to be in this running for the Super Bowl this year. I told you guys that the Rams were not going to be winning the NFC. And I told you guys there was going to be no Eagles. Saints, this is where it's at.